Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the President of the Republic receives the American Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs. The capacity building workshop for engineers. For the international scene, a deadly crash in Italy, 7 bodies found around the helicopter's wreckage. Welcome to our newsroom. President Ghele discussed bilateral relations with the American Under Secretary of State, Ms. Victoria Nuland. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Ghele, received this Sunday afternoon at the Palace of the Republic the U.S. Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs, Ms. Victoria Nuland, at the head of a large delegation from the main public institution of the United States. The visit of Ms. Nuland to Djibouti is part of a tour that the American official is conducting in several African countries. The audience between the head of state and the U.S. Under Secretary of State first focused on the state of friendship and cooperation between the two countries and peoples, in addition to bilateral relations. The audience between President Ghele and the U.S. Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs served as a framework for exchanges and consultations on the main issues on the agenda in the region. In this regard, the ways and means of sustaining the relative detente initiated recently in the Yemeni crisis and the natures of the multiform support to be provided to Somalia for a greater capacity of these brotherly countries to assert security and stability through its territories have, among other topics, been discussed during this meeting. It should be noted that Djibouti and the U.S. are well known for the valuable assistance they provide to the pacification of this part of the world. The ambassador of the United States of America to Djibouti, Jonathan Pratt, took part in this audience on the Djiboutian side, in addition to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mohamed Abdullahi Waisa, and the advisor to the head of state for diplomatic affairs, Ms. Fathia Jama Udin, took part in this event. Now listen to the American Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs, Ms. Victoria Nuland.
The thing that I came to say was how important this relationship is to the United States. We have a security relationship. We have a regional policy relationship, and we also very much appreciate the role that Djibouti plays on the world stage. So today we talked about the things that we do together in the security sphere, but we also talked about some of the pressing global issues, including food security, including the high price of fuel, and the need to work together, the U.S. and Djibouti, the U.S. and Africa, all countries of the world, to deal with the difficult economic circumstances. We also talked about some of the training programs that the United States sponsors for jobs and improving opportunity for employment for young Djiboutians.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, said for his part that the discussions were then extended to the evocations of a strategic partnership that the two nations maintain in a series of critical areas, including defense and security. The choice of Djibouti to host the main U.S. military base in the Dark Continent is a perfect illustration of the privileged nature of the two countries in the field of defense. Djibouti and the United States enjoy equally fruitful cooperation in the area of development, particularly in the specific sector of the economy and energy exploitation. Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed received today the new ambassador of the State of Palestine, His Excellency Riyad Adil Mohammed. The Prime Minister welcomed the new diplomat to Djibouti and assured him of his availability and support for the accomplishment of his missions in Djibouti. The Palestinian diplomat thanked the Prime Minister for the warm welcome and his availability. The new ambassador presented his letter of credential to the President Ismail Omar Guelleh on May 16. The President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, received this morning in late morning the farewell visit of the Ambassador of the Federal Republic of Germany, Michael Hausler. After representing his countries during his missions in Djibouti, the German ambassador leaves our countries to take up other functions. The President of the Assembly thanked the German ambassador, Michael Hausler, for all his effort to strengthen the cooperation, especially the parliamentary cooperation between Djibouti and Germany, and wished him a safe return. The German ambassador thanked the President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Ahmed, for his support during his diplomatic missions in Djibouti. In the exchanges, the President of the Assembly and German ambassador talked about the cooperation between the two countries, which will be intensified in the future. The President of the National Assembly was accompanied by the German ambassador. The President of the National Assembly was accompanied by his close collaborators during the meeting with the German ambassador, which was closed by an exchange of gifts. Under the aegis of the Ministry of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Younis Ali Ghedi, with the technical and financial support of the International Atomic Energy Agency, a capacity building workshop for the benefit of the engineers of the department was launched this Sunday, June 12, 2022 at the People's Palace with the theme for sustainable energy planning. Indeed, this workshop, which will instruct engineers from different directions of the Department of Energy, the directions of energy, hydrocarbon control, and energy efficiency during the next 5 days, including on sustainable energy planning, will be led by an expert of the International Agency for Atomic Energy, Mr. Abdelmonim Shentouf. At the end of this technical training, the members of the Energy Information System Cell will develop 3 technical reports: a comprehensive assessment of the national energy system, an analysis of the future energy demand of the countries, and an analysis of the energy supply. In his speech, Younis Ali Ghedi, the Minister of Energy, stressed that the Ministry of Energy in charge of resources has the means today to implement a national project to develop a long-term energy planning strategy, and this requires solid knowledge and refined skills based on computer tools. Energy planning is most effective when executed by local experts representing key stakeholders. Therefore, I invite the participants to take full advantage of it, he concluded. Within the framework of the signing of a memorandum of understanding between URI Africa and the mediator of the Republic, and our common perspective is on strengthening social cohesion and establishment of a culture of peace and peaceful coexistence, that the institution is received at its headquarters the visit of the delegations of URI, led by its executive directors, Ms. Bif Baranara, in the afternoons of 8 June 2022. The amphitheater room of the Higher Institute of Health Sciences hosted yesterday, Thursday, June 9, at a ceremony marking the official end of a 2-week training focused on design and assembly of projects. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Economy and Finance, Abdulrazak Ahmed Idris, officially closed the training workshop at the end of the mornings in the presence of the Director of External Financing, Ali Mohamed Ali Gadile, and Mr. Rick Emery, senior economists at the World Bank, Dr. Amadou Ousmane Diallo, and international experts of Mauritanian nationality animated the training during 2 weeks, during which about 20 young executives from several ministerial department actively participate and follow with assiduity the numerous training sessions. For more details on the training programs, we were able to collect the words of the trainers. Dr. Amadou Ousmane Diallo, international expert, for his part, the World Bank representative at the closing ceremony, expressed his satisfaction with the smooth running at the programs. At the end of the ceremonial day, the participants received from the hands of the organizers and their trainers a certificate certifying their skills and knowledge acquired in the design and assembly of projects. For his part, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Finance and Economy, Abdulrazak Ahmed Idris, emphasized that the objective is to provide the state with quality human resources with the necessary expertise to design and implement a project from A to Z. Indeed, this training is part of the numerous training sessions that the Djiboutian Ministry of Economy and Finance, with the support of development partners, organizes for the benefit of the administration executives. The Ministry of Communication in charge of post telecommunication, with the support of the UNDP, organized this morning at the Sheraton Hotel a training session dedicated to media professionals on our countries. The inaugural ceremony of this event of capital importance in the file of technical strengthening of writing, transparency, civic engagement, public accountability has brought together on site the Secretary General of the Ministry of Communication, Ahmed Yusuf Almi, a representative of the UNDP, journalists from Radio Television Djibouti, and those of the various organs of the print media of the countries. The training was given by senior staff of the Ministry of Communication, who are specialists in the file of, namely, Kennedy Ibrahim Hussein, editorial directors of the daily newspaper La Nation, Abdurrahman Mohammed Abdurrahman, and Mr. Musa Abdurrahman Mohammed, head of the magazine at RTDs, and Yusuf Ali Roble, then are lawyers. This four-day training would allow the beneficiaries press professional to become familiar with the issues and ethics of the professions, to have notions on good information practices and investigation techniques, to improve access to information to citizens through the provisions of journalists with the necessary tools and methods of transmission. The UNDP representative, Philip Tyler, committed that the UN organization is to support the Ministry of Communication in the initiative to strengthen human capital. For his part, Kennedy Ibrahim Hussein, director of the editorial office, said that this training is part of the technical strengthening of writing, transparency, civic engagement, public accountability. For his part, the Secretary General, the Permanent Secretary of the Minister of Communication, Ahmed Yusuf Almi, who said that the strengthening of human resources skills, and especially those of media professionals, is a priority for his department. This four-day training would allow the beneficiaries press professional to become familiar with the issue and ethics of the professions, to have notions on good information practices and investigation techniques, to improve access to information to citizens through the provision of journalists with the necessary tools and methods of transmission. Still in the continuity of the visit of the delegation of the National Defense Colleges of Nigeria, which is in Djibouti for a business visit led by Admiral Anifok Letis Yuko, the delegation is composed of about 30 senior officers, male and female, of the National Defense College of Nigeria, which are themselves from 4 nationalities, namely Nigeria, Mali, Sierra Leone, and India. In the day of Thursday, June 9, 2022, the delegation made a visit to the places of the headquarters of the National Navy. Their arrival, they were welcomed by Colonel Ahmed Dahir Jama, commander of the National Navy. The colonel made demonstrations of the functioning of his department with a video projection. The delegation could enjoy the explanations and could question the commanders of the National Navy. Afterwards, the delegations went on a towers on board the new boat recently acquired by the National Navy to make a towers on the Mascali Island. At the exit of the port, delegations and agents of the National Navy were able to appreciate the view of the maritime facade of the different port structures of Djibouti. The delegation was qualified by this business visit to Djibouti of success and very beneficial on all the plane. They could thus thank the various authorities to which they could meet, and they promised that this will be engraved in their memories.
Yes, so far the visit has been wonderful. We've seen a lot of places. Today we visit the Djibouti National Navy. We're warmly received by the commander, who is my friend and brother. He's been with us since the day we came in and he's facilitated our visit. And we're also privileged to have a cruise in his beautiful, wonderful ship. The ship crew, the captain, they were very professional. I'm happy, I'm a naval officer, and I can see a professional Navy doing its work here. Everything is so wonderful and commendable, and I know it's a good thing for Djibouti. With this set of professionals and with the way they are going, the sky is their limit. What's the link between the trade and the military? Well, if you look at it internationally, you cannot divorce the military from trade, because without security, there's no development. So you need the military to ensure there's security so that development can thrive. And especially we visited the Navy today. Without the Navy, the seas will not be safe. So the Navy was basically created to protect commerce and trade and make sure there's freedom of navigation. When that happens, the port you're having here will thrive, because ships will be able to come in freely without being attacked and go back. So there's a very big relationship and nexus between the military and trade. Thank you.
Now listen to the commander of the Djiboutian Navy, Colonel Ahmed Daher Jama.
Today was the concluded the visit, the team to Djibouti, and we started the commercial and we concluded maritime security. So we brought how Djibouti makes the business and be protected for economic. And that is what he said, the commander now is abroad. We cannot fight between the security and the diplomacy. It's depend each and other. So that's undefinable. So we have to get the air, the plane. The plane kind of to air. So there's diplomacy and security. They can fly together. So that way business make it Djibouti to develop both of them parallelly, not behind another. That's why it's going. So I very broad the National Defense in Nigeria to come to Djibouti and visit and see how we make the business. We took their remarks and we learn each another. So that way also we have to broad how we can make a connection between among the African. So because we solve we have the same similar problem in West Africa and East Africa, in the Berat and illegal immigration is too similarity. So you feel the code of conduct and Yaoundé and the code of conduct is Djibouti. Both of them, you remember, is dealing with the maritime security. We have the similarity, also different. So how we make the more security and more commercial beneficial, how we make in the future.
Following the example of the Republic of Djibouti, the Hill 9 and 8 battalion deployed respectively in Jalalaqsi and Beledweyne have celebrated in joy and good humor while ensuring a high level of security in the day of Monday, June 6, 2022, the 45th anniversary of the creation of the Djiboutian Armed Forces. Let us recall that these two battalions, strong of 2,000 men and women, operate within the framework of the establishment of a lasting peace in Somalia under the ATMIS banner. In spite of their difficult missions, these two battalions were keen to celebrate these 45th anniversaries of the armed forces, of the Djiboutian Armed Forces with joy and happiness. This ceremony was very significant and consisted of a taking up of arms followed by a military parade on foot. Thus, it was the head of Battalion Hill 9, Colonel Hamad Ahmed Mohammed, who conducted the traditional review of troops. Colonel Hamad Ahmed Mohammed first honored the flag where the national anthem resounded with particular emotions. Let us listen to an of the troops was done. The soldiers were able to put on their best uniforms of this festive day. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the parade gestures were purely respected, and they reduced the strict minimum. This 45th anniversary of the Armed Forces since June 6, 1977 had a special aspect because for this battalion it was their first ceremony of taking arms in a theater of operations as a deployed battalion. Colonel Hamad Ahmed Mohammed, battalion commanders of Hill 9, began reading to the soldiers and guests of the agenda of the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces in this excerpt. He recalled the main achievement of the Armed Forces during the past years, the project completed, those underway, and future projects. Let us now listen to an excerpt from the agenda of the CMGA, read by Colonel Hamad Ahmed Mohammed, head of the Battalion 9, followed by military parade on foot. Similarly, the Hill 8 Battalion, deployed in Jalalakhsi since January 2021 under the command of Colonel Mohammed Omar Assowe, held despite the risks to celebrate the 45th anniversary of the Djibouti Armed Forces. This battalion, deployed in the Hiran region, is 1,000 men and women strong. This 45th anniversary of the Armed Forces since June 6, 1977 had a special aspect because this battalion is coming to the end of its missions in Somalia under the ATMIS banner. Thus, the battalion commanders of Hill 8, Colonel Mohammed Omar Assowe, conducted a traditional review of troops. Battalion chief honored the flag where the national anthem resounded with particular emotions. Then the review of the troops was done. The soldiers thus deployed were able to put on their most beautiful uniforms of this festive day. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the barrier gestures were purely respected and the guests reduced to the strict minimum. Let's listen to an excerpt from the national anthem. The Colonel Mohammed Omar Assowe, battalion commanders of Hill 8, began reading to the soldiers and guests the order of the day of the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces. In this excerpt, he recalled the main achievement of the Armed Forces, the agenda of the CMGA, and read by Colonel Mohammed Omar Assowe, battalion commanders of Hill 8. Still in the celebrations, in the framework of the celebration of the June 6th, the detachment of the Bulle Burde under the command of Commander Alaye Abdi Umar did not fail to commemorate the 45th anniversary of the creation of the Djiboutian Armed Forces. It is clear that despite the risks of real attacks by militia Al-Shabaab, the ceremony took place in good conditions. The chief of the district of Bulle Burde and the traditional chief, the local administrations and the religious took part in this festivity. Organized with great pomp, the Commander Alaye Abdi Umar first reviewed the troops and honored the national flag. Thus, the national anthem was played and our flag was raised high next to the flag of our brother country Somalia and that of ATMIS. Mayor Ali Abdi Umar, head of Bulebur detachment, began reading to the soldiers and guests the order of the day of the Chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces, an excerpt of the agenda of the Chief of Staff. The first writing test is for the tertiary professional baccalaureate BAC Pro 2022 sessions of the technical teaching streams began today, Sunday, 12 June 2022, and will continue throughout the week. This year, some 1,602 candidates from all streams and sitting the exams in more than 8 examination centers at the 3 technical high schools in the capital, Lycée Industriel Commercial, Lycée de Gabot, and CSFOP de Balbala, and 5 high schools in the interior regions. It should be noted that MENFOP has put in place a special mechanism to ensure the smooth running of the exam. Teacher and administrative staffs have been mobilized to ensure optimal supervision and functioning of these examination centers. In addition to the teaching and administrative staff designated to supervise and act as secretaries for the baccalaureate were up to the task. MENFOP is very pleased with this, as it has once again suspected the old systems for optimal conduct of the 2022 baccalaureate exams. It should be noted that this is the first time that the BAC Pro exams are being held in the regions in accordance with the policy of decentralization of the BAC Pro exams. The Sovereign Wealth Fund was set up by the President of the Republic in 2020 to enable the inclusive development of the countries in all sectors. Today, the Director General of the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Djibouti, Mr. Slim Feriani, went to the Regional Council of Tajorat to talk with the population, traders, and civil society in the presence of the Deputy Prefect Habib Jilani and the President of the Regional Council, Omar Hussein Omar of Tajorat, to promote these institutions. The exchanges and discussions were fruitful. A high-level delegation is led by the Ambassador of the Republic of Yemen in Djibouti, Mr. Abdullah bin Musallam al-Suqdri, visited this morning the Yemeni schools to see closely the progress of the BAC exam, which began at the end of last month. The delegation included the president of the founding bodies of the school, Al-Hajj Abdurrahman Ahmed Taha, the assistants of the Secretary General of the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, Ms. Ahlam Al-Thabit, and in addition to a number of businessmen supporting this school. At the beginning of the visit, the delegation met with the principal of the schools, Abdul Qalib Al-Dubai, and the envoy of the Yemeni Ministries of Education supervising the examinations, Mr. Ralafat Ahmed Salah, where they reviewed the progress made by the Yemeni school since its establishment in 1991, as well as the educational services it offers to the population of the countries and the Yemeni refugees. After that, the Yemeni ambassador in Djibouti and the members of the delegation visited the examination rooms to see closely the arrangements made by the school's administration and the organizing committee to create the appropriate atmospheres for a candidate. In an interview with the national television, the representative of the Yemeni Ministries of Education, Mr. Ralafat Ahmed Salah, explained as to the course of the exams that about 60 students are taken from the Yemeni schools and the Yemeni Refugee Accommodation Center in the city of Obok. He emphasized the good relations and the fruitful educational collaboration that exists between the Republic of Djibouti and Yemen, wishing success to the students who are taking the secondary certification examination for this year, 2021-2022. For his part, the president of the founding body of the school, Al-Hajj Abdurrahman Ahmed Taha, praised the efforts made by the administrations of the Yemeni school and the organizing committee to create a conducive environment for the candidates of the BAC for the year 2021-2022. He expressed his thanks and gratitude to the Ministry of National Education, Vocational Training, and the Yemeni Ministry of Education for their cooperation to conduct these exams in best conditions. Wanted notice Dahabo Duxiye Gire. The Duxiye Gire family is looking for their daughter named Dahabo Duxiye Gire. It has been missed since 3 days. She went missing from their house. Aged 14-year-old, she left her homes located in Balbala, Pika 12. In case of discovery, please contact the following numbers: 77 858505 or 77092608. For the international scene, a deadly crash in Italy. 7 bodies found around the wreckage of a helicopter. Italian rescuers have found the lifeless bodies of the 7 passengers of the helicopters that disappeared on Thursday in the mountainous areas of the Modena region. The difficult climatic conditions could be at the origin of the drama. Hikers put the rescue teams on the trails of the wreckage, which was located in 10 kilometers from the last GPS point left by one of the victims' cell phones. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.